Welcome, everyone. You've joined us for another deep dive, and today, well, we're getting into something quite aromatic, the global market for basil essential oil.
That's right. It's a really interesting space.
We've got our hands on a key report. It's the Basil Essential Oil Market Report 2025, the global edition from Cognitive Market Research.
hmm
And our mission today is really to, pull out the key takeaways, figure out the current size of this market, where it's likely headed, and crucially, what's pushing that growth in different parts of the world and for different uses.
Absolutely. And the headline figures are quite telling. The report pegs the market at USD 112.34 million for 2025.
Okay, it's just over 112 million.
Yeah. But the really interesting part is the forecast. It's projected to hit USD 181.77 million by 2033.
Wow. Okay. That's quite a jump.
It is. It represents a compound annual growth rate,
Yeah.
CAGR, of 6.20%. So yeah, definite expansion on the cards.
Right, 6.2%, a pretty healthy clip overall. But as we always find, these global markets are never quite the same everywhere. The report flags North America as the current leader, right? What's the picture there?
Spot on. North America is definitely leading the pack right now, holds the biggest slice of the pie, over 37% of global revenue,
37%, okay.
which translates to about USD 41.57 million in 2025. Now, what's interesting is, while it's the biggest market, its growth rate is a bit more moderate.
Uh-huh.
The projected KGR from 2025 to 2033 is 4.7%. So still growing, but maybe suggesting a more mature market compared to some other regions.
Makes sense. And within North America, I'm guessing the U.S. is the main engine.
Oh, absolutely. No question. The U.S. alone is looking at a market size of about USD 32.80 million in 2025,
Okay.
and its CAGR is pegged at 4.5%. But here's a key detail the report highlights. A major driver in the U.S. is expanding pharmaceutical applications.
Pharmaceutical uses for basil oil.
Oh.
Well, that's not the first thing that springs to mind. What kind of things are we actually talking
Hmm.
about?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Basil oil has these inherent properties, right? It's known to be antibacterial, antifungal, even anti-inflammatory.
Right.
So you could see it being used more in things like topical creams for minor skin issues, leveraging that natural antimicrobial aspect,
Okay. Yeah.
or maybe in formulations designed to soothe skin irritations, thanks to the anti-inflammatory side.
Yeah.
It really points to, a growing acceptance of its therapeutic value beyond just smelling nice in aromatherapy.
That clicks. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And what about Canada and Mexico? They're obviously part of that North American dominance too.
They are. Canada's projected at nearly $5 million USD, 4.99 million in 2025, actually, and its growth rate is a bit higher, 5.5% CAGR.
Okay.
Now, the report throws in a bit of a curveball here. It mentions expansion in high-performance vehicles as a driver for Canada.
High performance vehicles, how does basil oil fit in there?
Well, that's the intriguing part. It's not immediately obvious. Maybe, and this is just speculation based on the oil's properties,
Hmm.
perhaps its anti-inflammatory characteristics are being looked at for, I don't know, specialized lubricants in those engines.
Hmm.
Or perhaps it's more about the sensory experience, using its unique scent in premium car air freshening systems. It's definitely one that makes you think.
It does, a bit unexpected. And Mexico.
Mexico's looking at USD 3.78 million in 2025, with a pretty solid SEC share of 5.2%.
So wrapping up North America, the big theme seems to be that overall trend we see everywhere, people wanting more natural, more organic ingredients, especially in cosmetics and personal care.
Exactly. That's a huge underlying factor across the region.
Okay, let's hop across the pond to Europe then. How does the basil oil market shape up there?
Europe's also a major player, holds a significant share, over 29% of the global revenue.
Right, nearly a third.
Yeah, market size estimated around USD 32.58 million for 2025. And their growth is steady too, a projected CAGR of 5.3% through to 2033.
And Europe's always a mix of different national markets. Any standouts there? What's driving things?
Well, the UK is quite prominent, projected at about USD 5.47 million for 2025, and a good CAGR of 6.1%. The report links that specifically to the growing popularity of skincare products.
Skincare. Okay.
Germany actually has the largest market size in Europe, around USD 6.45 million in 2025, with a 5.5% CGR.
Right.
Then you've got France, about 3 million, CGR 4.5%. Italy, 2.8 million, CGR 4.7%. Russia's also pretty significant, over $5 million with a 4.3% CGR.
Okay.
Spain's around 2.67 million, 4.4% growth. And then some smaller but still growing markets, Sweden just over a million, Denmark, Switzerland, even Luxembourg showing decent KGR between, say, 4.9% and 5.6%.
Wow. That's quite the list. Luxembourg, even.
Yeah. And the rest of Europe together makes up another 4.56 million or so, growing at about 4.0%.
The report really points towards the spa and wellness industry. That seems to be a major catalyst over there.
The whole integration of aromatherapy into general wellness practices, it's just becoming more and more common across Europe. And basil oil, with its benefits for relaxation, mental clarity, it fits perfectly into that trend.
Yeah, that strong link between self-care, wellness, and natural oils makes perfect sense for Europe.
Okay, let's head east now, Asia Pacific, often the growth hotspot. What's the story for Basil Essential Oil there?
You called it. APAC is definitely where the high-speed growth is happening. They hold a good chunk of the market, around 24% of global revenue.
24%,
This
okay.
is about USD 26.96 million in 2025. But the growth figure is the headline grabber. The projected CAGR from 2025 to 2033 is a massive 8.9%.
Wow, 8.9%. That is significantly higher than North America or Europe.
It really is. It's the highest regional growth rate by quite a margin.
So what's lighting the fire under the APAC market? Which countries are leading this charge?
The big driver identified is this increasing focus on preventive health care. A real shift towards wellness and proactive health management.
Right, holistic health. Exactly. Within the region, China's the biggest market. USD 11.32 million in 2025, growing strongly at 8.4%. That's linked, as you said, to the rise of holistic practices.
Okay.
But look at India. While its market size is smaller, USD 2.70 million, its CAGR is the highest for any single country, an incredible 10.8%.
10.8%. That's huge growth rate too.
Absolutely huge. Then you have Japan at 3.72 million, 7.4% CAGR. South Korea, 3.24 million, 8.0% CAGR. Australia, 1.4 million, 8.2%. Singapore smaller, about 500,000, but still 7.0% growth. Taiwan's over a million, 8.7%. And Southeast Asia as a whole is 1.78 million, growing super fast at 9.7%.
Goodness, pretty much strong growth across the board in APAC.
Yeah, even the rest of APAC's category is projected at 8.7% CAGR. It's really quite remarkable.
So that focus on natural wellness, preventive health, that's the magic ingredient driving APAC's boom. Okay, let's shift gears now. South America, what's the situation down there?
South America holds a smaller share, currently over 4% of the global revenue. Market size is around USD 4.27 million for 2025, and it's projected to grow at a solid clip, 6.9% CAGR, between 2025 and 2033.
6.9%, so still growing faster than North America or Europe. Which countries are most active there?
Brazil leads the way in South America. Projected market size of USD 1.83 million in 2025, with a strong CAGR of 7.5%.
Right.
And interestingly, the report links Brazil's growth partly to a growing interest in sustainable agriculture.
Sustainable agriculture, how does that tie into the essential oil market specifically?
Well, Argentina's next, by the way, USD 0.72 million, slightly higher TGR at 7.8%.
Uh-huh.
Then Colombia, Peru, Chile, all showing TGRs between 6.7% and 7.2%.
Okay.
But back to that sustainable agriculture point, the report suggests that advancements in extraction tech, especially things like supercritical CO2 extraction, are playing a key role in South America.
The extraction method.
Exactly. CO2 extraction is seen as cleaner, more environmentally friendly, and often yields a really high-quality oil. So adopting these sustainable practices aligns with global trends and can help South American producers position their basil oil as premium and eco-conscious.
Right, so it's about both the quality of the product and the sustainability of how it's made. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, let's pivot to the Middle East. What's their piece of the global market?
The Middle East is fairly similar in size to South America, actually. Also around 4% of global revenue.
Okay.
Market size is estimated at USD 4.49 million for 2025, and they have a healthy projected CAGR of 7.5% through to 2033.
7.5% growth. And who are the main players within the Middle East for basil oil?
Saudi Arabia has the largest market share there, about USD 1.58 million in 2025, growing at 7.8%.
Right.
The UAE isn't far behind in terms of growth. USD 0.93 million market size, but an 8.0% CAGR. You have Qatar, around 0.36 million, 7.0% CAGR. And the report notes an interesting driver there, the rising popularity of DIY beauty and wellness.
DIY beauty in Qatar, huh? That's specific.
Yeah. Turkey matches Qatar's market size, 0.36 million, but boasts the region's highest CAGR at 8.1%. Egypt's a bit smaller, 0.27 million, 7.3% CAGR. And the rest of the Middle East collectively makes up another $1 million, growing at 6.7%.
So beyond the DIY trend in Qatar, what's the main thing pushing growth across the Middle East region?
The report emphasizes product innovation. specifically the development of unique essential oil blends tailored for therapeutic uses.
Ah, so moving beyond single oils into more targeted blends.
Exactly. It suggests a maturing market focusing on more sophisticated product offerings to meet specific wellness demands.
Interesting. Okay, last stop on our world tour, Africa. What's their position in the global basil essential oil market?
Africa holds the smallest share currently, around 2.2% of global revenue.
Okay.
That translates to a market size of about USD 2.47 million in 2025. But like the Middle East and South America, it shows promising growth with a projected CDIR of 7.5%.
7.5% from a smaller base, right. And where's the activity concentrated within Africa?
South Africa is the largest single market USD 0.87 million in 2025, growing at 7.4%.
Huh?
Nigeria is smaller, about 0.20 million, with a 6.7% CAGR. But the report highlights a specific driver there, the growth of online retail channels.
Online sales boosting things in Nigeria. That fits the global e-commerce trend.
Definitely. And the rest of Africa combined accounts for the largest portion, USD 1.4 million, though growing a bit slower at 5.7% CAGR.
And the main driver for growth in Africa overall.
Interestingly, similar to what we saw mentioned for South America, it's the rising interest in sustainable agriculture.
Again, sustainable agriculture.
Yeah, it really suggests potential for the continent, not just for its own needs, but maybe as a growing source of ethically produced basil essential oil for the global market.
Fascinating. So we've circled the globe, seen all these regional nuances. Let's try and pull back now and look at the bigger picture dynamics shaping the whole industry. What about the type of oil? Is conventional or organic growing faster?
The report is pretty clear on that. Organic basil essential oil is the segment experiencing the most rapid growth by nature.
Right, that fits the natural products trend we keep seeing.
Absolutely. It reflects that strong consumer push for natural, sustainably sourced ingredients.
And how is the oil actually being used? Where's the biggest demand in terms of application?
Currently, the largest end-use segment is cosmetics and personal care. No big surprise there, really.
Yeah.
It's driven by the nice aroma, obviously, but also those therapeutic effects we talked about, the anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, antioxidant properties. It makes it really desirable for skincare, hair care, you name it.
Okay.
But, and this is important, the pharmaceutical segment is catching up fast. It's expanding rapidly.
Ah, the pharma link again.
Exactly. Those potential uses in topical treatments, maybe even things related to respiratory care, are driving significant growth in that segment.
So pharma is really an area to watch in this market. And how do these oils get from the producer to the end user? What are the key distribution channels?
Well, the dominant channel right now is still business to business, B2B.
Okay.
That makes sense, supplying those big industries, health and wellness companies, cosmetic manufacturers, the aromatherapy sector. They buy in bulk.
Right.
However, the channel showing the fastest growth is business to consumer, B2C.
Ah, direct sales.
Yeah, driven by individuals using basil oil in their own wellness routines for stress, mood, focus. And, of course, the rise of online shopping makes it much easier for consumers to buy directly.
So strong industry links via B2B, but a booming direct consumer market through B2C. Got it. Now, the report likely sums up the main forces pushing the market forward and maybe some potential headwind.
It does, yeah. The key drivers are pretty much what we've touched on. The growing demand for all things natural, the expanding pharmaceutical applications we just discussed, and its sheer popularity in personal care and cosmetics.
Makes sense. And the restraints.
Two main ones mentioned are the high cost of production. Good quality essential oil extraction isn't cheap, and potential limits on getting enough high-quality raw basil. Consistency and supply can be challenges.
Okay. Cost and raw material availability. Fair enough. Any major trends shaping the future that we haven't covered?
Yeah, a couple stand out. Firstly, that point about innovation developing new essential oil blends for very specific therapeutic purposes. So moving towards more targeted solutions.
Right, like blends for sleep or focus or specific skin issues.
Precisely. And secondly, that theme of sustainable agriculture. It's not just a regional driver. It's becoming a major global trend influencing how basil is grown and processed everywhere.
Sustainability and targeted blends. Got it. It's amazing how all these pieces fit together. Who are the big companies competing in this space?
There are several key players mentioned.
Hmm.
Big names like doTERRA International, Young Living Essential Oils, companies many people interested in essential oils will know. Also, now foods, plant therapy essential oils. These are significant competitors. They generally compete through having diverse product lines, strong distribution, and ongoing innovation.
Right, the usual suspects in the essential oils world. Any recent news or moves mentioned in the report? Acquisitions? Product launches?
Yes, a few examples. It notes doTERRA introduced some new wellness products back in October 2022.
Okay.
Blossom Kochar Aroma Magic launched a neem and tea tree range in September 2022, relevant as it shows activity in adjacent natural product spaces.
Yeah.
And there was an acquisition back in April 2022. Phoenix Flavors and Fragrances bought Innovative Fragrances, Inc. That points to some consolidation in the broader flavor and fragrance industry, which often intersects with essential oils.
Okay, so activity on the product front and some M&A action. Lastly, any regulatory things impacting the market?
The report touches on a couple, mainly out of India. There's a quality control order for electrical skin hair care appliances from 2023, and some proposed changes to India's cosmetics rules from 2020.
So not directly targeting basil oil, but impacting the industries that use it.
Exactly. It reflects a wider trend of increasing regulatory focus on quality and safety in the cosmetics and personal care sectors, which indirectly affects ingredient suppliers like those in the essential oil market.
Right, tightening standards overall. Okay, so wrapping this all up, this deep dive into the cognitive market research report shows a global basil essential oil market that's, well, definitely growing strong, looking to hit nearly $182 million by 2033.
Yeah, a very positive outlook.
And it's fascinating how varied the drivers are region by region. You've got the spa scene in Europe, the preventive health focus in APAC, sustainable farming popping up in Africa and South America.
Mhm.
And underpinning it all is that huge consumer demand for natural products, plus these expanding uses in cosmetics, personal care, and increasingly pharmaceuticals.
That really captures it. It's clear basil essential oil is much more than just a nice scent. It's a dynamic market being shaped by, shifting consumer values, better technology for extraction, and a deeper appreciation of its benefits across many different applications and cultures.
Absolutely. And that leaves us with a final thought for everyone listening. We've heard about these really distinct regional drivers, spas in Europe, wellness focus in APAC, sustainable ag in Africa and South America. So thinking about that, what kind of interesting cross-regional collaborations or maybe completely new innovations might bubble up in the basil essential oil world over the next few years? Something to ponder.
A great question to end on.
Indeed. Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll catch you on the next one.